Trump's New Deal? What?
Trump has a new game.
In the late 1980s, smart players were paying down debt and protecting their equity. Donald Trump went right on playing his game.
My new game is Trump, the game.
Trump, the game where you deal for everything you've ever wanted to own. Because it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether you win.
All your life, you grow up, you go to the plaza, you go to a ball, you go and have dinner. You see the plaza. It represents something that's very special to New York.
The plaza was the ultimate trophy to him, the crown jewel of his New York properties. Its price tag of $407 million also made it one of the most expensive hotel purchases ever. To get it, he violated his own art of the deal rules. He paid too much, leveraged other properties, and went deeper into debt. But to the world, he had won again. Few saw the reality. He was now risking everything.
This is a characteristic of all self-made, and in a sense, Donald is self-made in this way, highly driven. Man, there is lying behind it an idea, I think an idea ultimately about immortality. This thing about Donald's going to die. And success. There's the gambler's analogy. You got to keep rolling the dice, and you got to keep rolling bigger.
Back in 1989, most people thought Trump was one of the richest men in the world. When we started asking questions about his wealth, Trump gave us this letter from his accounting firm. It said he had $700 million in cash. The letter made it look as if Trump could write a check for that amount on the spot. He forgot to mention that most of the money was tied up in credit lines from his banks. His next gamble was the Eastern Shuttle, with New York a hub for flights to Boston and Washington.
Getting the shuttle. All of my life I've flown on the Eastern Shuttle. And to think of owning the Eastern Shuttle was beyond me. I was just beyond imagination.
That it was. In a year, the shuttle in the plaza had cost him $750 million, mostly borrowed. And Trump wasn't finished buying. Desperate for cash, he next made a bid for American Airlines. At the very least, he hoped they'd buy him off. He was easily rebuffed. He lost more than money. His aura of invincibility was shattered. For generations, men in trouble have fled to California, and that's where Trump looked next. It would be a fresh start in every way, a new base of operations with a new blonde. He set his sights on the old Ambassador Hotel. The city had been planning to build a high school there. Trump thought that was silly. What the area really needed was the same thing he said New York needed the year before, the world's tallest building. L.A. proved too much for the man.
I'm not telling tales out of school, but the man is almost bankrupt trying to acquire all kinds of things, and I don't know why he's bothering us in Los Angeles. Tell him to settle his problems in New York, stay there, and let us get on with the show.
The breakup of his marriage put him on the front page, but he could no longer control the stories. Ivana asked for half of his assets, and the press now asked, half of what? Forbes magazine took him out of the billionaire class. Everyone now knew what his architect had told us a year earlier.
Sometimes I think that when you hear a figure quoted by Donald, if you divide by 2, then divide by 4, you're probably closer to the real answer.
Trump had built his empire on other people's money. Now he couldn't pay it back, and that empire was on the verge of bankruptcy. The banks who had relied on Trump's math were in trouble, too. Suddenly, everything was for sale. Things got so bad, Trump tried to slip his private plane out of its hangar without paying the storage fee. The state police were called. Clearly, order had to be restored, and for now, some semblance of it has been. Even Donald's father has helped out. A $3 million purchase of chips in one of his son's casinos went toward paying interest to bondholders, pacifying some of them at least for a time. Today, there are no new Trump extravaganzas. What sustains him? Perhaps the sense that even this low point is just a moment, that it's all a game.
I do understand it's all basically a game. We're all here to play the game, and we're all hopefully going to play it well, but some people obviously can't play it well.
Goodbye, everyone. Mr. Trump, your picture's on my desk.
For Trump, the game that made him its hero was over.
So this is a big hurdle, and it's great, and I'm happy, and maybe you people can cover one of the millions of other people now
What's your prediction?
and sort of leave Trump alone.
Would you be selling anything off, sir?
They just might do what he wants. And where would that leave him?
The only end to this road is sort of ultimate madness, and living alone in an apartment complex in Panama and growing your fingernails long and storing your urine in mason jars. He just, there's no other way. I mean, that or taking over the world, one or the other. It's either the most public life in the world or the most private at the end of this. There's no in between. He's not going to. You're not going to catch him out, with a Toro on a Sunday afternoon cutting the lawn somewhere. It's going to be one extreme or another, either the greatest Bond villain of all time or Howard Hughes.
If you should forget that Trump's his name, you'll see it 553 times in the game. Now we know that Donald is one rich guy, so how come in every shot he wears the same shirt and tie? If your deals turn out lucky and you're smart as a fox, you could be like Donald and end up on a box. Big bucks will never seem the same when you play Trump the game. Woo!
So I talk to my